Dalton in California. How do you keep or get a customer to come back and purchase again after they might have had a bad experience with grass-fed beef? Most cases, they will overcook it and it will become tough. We try to inform our customers on how to properly cook grass-fed beef. Some figure it out, some don't. What are your thoughts? Okay, so this one, first of all, I think there are at least 3 parts to this. Let's talk about education-based marketing. If you're not familiar with the term, education-based marketing is simply, well, I think it's the most effective way to market. Kind of the most effective way to think about marketing right now is to educate your prospective, right? Prospective customer, the person that you hope will become your customer in the future. And that it actually continues beyond once you have attracted the audience, the target customer that you want, and they have become your customer, and they've actually paid you. So education-based marketing continues throughout the life cycle of that customer. You're to continually educate them and give them information, right? Information that is beneficial and helpful, that they actually want to have, that as they receive it, they incorporate it into their life, and it helps them tell their own story. So if we back up, I think, regarding this question, how do you keep or get a customer to come back and purchase again after they might have had a bad experience with the grass-fed beef? So in most cases, they overcook it and it will become tough. Okay, so, I mean, obviously right here, like the solution, which I hate, I'm always hesitant to just give a solution, right? I'd rather reframe it, reframe the question, and see if there is a kind of a hidden question or a deeper question that we can address that when solved or when answered will kind of, it won't just give you something to do, but it will completely change the way that you think about the thing that you perceive as a problem. Because oftentimes, I'm not speaking necessarily to this question, but to all the questions that we have that we'll be going through today. It's always the case, whatever we perceive to be as a problem that we have in our business and our lives, it's never actually the problem. The problem is never the problem. The problem is not knowing how to think about the problem, okay? So typically the things that we, oh no, like I just lost my best customer, and we stress and like, that's a huge problem. Well, it's not really, it's how you're thinking about the problem, because you're probably looking at it going, oh my gosh, I lost my best customer. What does that mean for me? I lost all of this revenue, all of this future revenue, future sales, and even in profit, right? I'm gonna have to go find more customers. Well, I don't think I'm very good at finding new customers. Like, this is a travesty. What do I do? Well, let's reframe it, right? Like, the problem isn't the fact that you lost a customer. Maybe, let's talk about, well, how do I find more customers like that? Or how do I use, this as a learning opportunity? Let's talk with that person who no longer wants to buy and ask them, so what happened? Like, you've been buying from me for a long time. We have a good relationship. Like, I always over-deliver, and I try to fulfill not only the needs that you've told me that you expect from me and that I've promised to provide, but I always try to go above and beyond. And you can actually have this conversation with them, right? So tell me, what's going on? And it's the answer that you'll get is probably something like they have some issue in their life where they either no longer have the money or they no longer have the time or the attention to think about going to your website and ordering from you. And so in that case, this is pretty common. That's why I use this example. It's pretty common, right? The problem isn't actually the problem. It's not knowing how to think about the problem. And so if we can help you rethink the problem, all of a sudden you have not only an answer to that specific and a solution to that specific perceived problem, but now you have an entirely new way to think about future events that you currently and in the past have considered to be major problems. So, in this case, the customer, they either don't have the money or they don't have the attention, right, the mental bandwidth to have to go to your website and order whenever they need beef, or to think ahead, right? Maybe they don't plan meals, maybe they have a crazy schedule, or they travel, or right, they don't have consistent meals at home. So there are all kinds of reasons why. And if they don't have the money, well, you don't want to lower your prices, because you don't want to compete on price. If they don't have the money, well, maybe in that conversation with them, the conversation that I would have with them if they don't have the money is, well, how can we help you get this without you having the money? And that might mean, well, we're going to create a beef buyers club, and because the club is buying 6,000 pounds a month, you'll get a 10%. It'll be 10% cheaper than it is to buy at the retail price off of the website. That's one option, for example. That's usually not the the fact, right? It's usually not because they don't have the money. It's going to be because they just don't have the time or the attention, or it's just a lot for them to think about to be ordering online, okay? If you think about it, most people today still do not order food online. As a beef producer, or maybe usually on these trainings or on most of the videos that I do, about, I don't know, 15, 20% are not beef producers, but they raise some other farm product. But buying food online is relatively, like, it's a new thing, and not very many people do it, and certainly very few people buy all of their food online, okay? And the ones who do, they typically, it's Amazon or Walmart, you know, they buy it and they can go pick it up, or they get it from Amazon, and it's delivered literally that day or the next day. And so as a beef producer, often we're talking about, like us, we never kept inventory, right? We didn't want that. We didn't want it on our books, and we didn't want to have to pay the overhead of having freezers and all of the overhead that goes along with insuring a building, and I mean, all of that stuff. So we would always have our customers pay in advance. And so they would place an order, and we had it worked out with our processor here in Utah. So we had two processors that we use down here, which I highly recommend, in Springville and Mapleton, Gary's Meat and Springville Meats. And we would work it out with them so that we didn't need to give them more than a week or two heads up. Like, they would always have some space available for us. And it just got really dark. The sun went down. Let me see if I can't make it a little bit lighter. There we go. Okay. So we didn't have to give them as much lead time as normally, most of the other customers would. So work that out with your processor. One, get your scheduling on point. But two, we would sell, and then we would always give ourselves a huge buffer, and we would let our customers know, like, and it's right there. It would be on our website or on our product page or in the email that we sent out, or even on the Instagram or Facebook posts that we would use. And it would say, this is how it works. You place an order. We aggregate all of the orders that we get over this period of time, which was usually a couple weeks. And then 6 weeks from the time that we closed the order, you can expect your delivery, your product to arrive, your beef to arrive at your home, starting in 6 weeks, right? And then we would still give ourselves a 2-week buffer. Now, you can't do this if the people that you're targeting or the people that you're selling to aren't at the high end, right? They cannot be price shoppers, okay? So the people that we sold to, they were kind of up in the upper end of income, but also they prioritized their health above other things, right? So they were not price resistant. They didn't care as much about price. Like, they didn't actually think about price per pound, right? These are people who, they don't care which you shouldn't either. I don't care how much money you make. You shouldn't care what the price at the pump is, if it's a couple cents or 10 cents or 20 cents more per gallon. And it's not to say, like, if that's a dumb thing to do because you don't have a lot of money or whatever. You shouldn't care about stuff like that, no matter how much money you have, because if you let these little nickels and dimes, because that's what it adds up to, right? Nickels and dimes, maybe a couple bucks, like a few dollars at the most to fill up your tank. Like, that's the difference between getting gas here and driving across town, or getting it at Costco, or don't plan your life around these small little nickel and dime things. For one. Second, the type of people that we wanted to attract, like, where was I going with this? It's been a long day. It's just like this mindset of scarcity, right? Like, you let like your needs, right? Like, I need to save money here, or I need gas. Just this whole mindset of needs versus wants, and this scarcity mindset is just toxic. It is so destructive, especially for a business owner. If you're worrying about these little tiny things, because then all your mental energy and your attention gets caught up in, like the people that you don't want to attract, price shoppers. You don't want price shoppers. You want people who are resistant to price, resistant to the change in price. You want people who will pay top dollar and who don't think twice. So setting a price. I'm going off on a tangent. I'll come back, Alton, and address your question all the way. ADD, man. I didn't take my Ritalin today, so this is what you get. And okay, so go check out for price. Go check out, like, your local Whole Foods. You should not be selling cheaper than Whole Foods. If you are, you're doing it wrong, plain and simple. In my private life, I'm pretty non-controversial. I don't like to ruffle feathers. I'm pretty easygoing, and I kind of go with the flow. Although I do like take my stances, and I certainly stand up for what I believe is true or right, and I'm not afraid to tell that to people. But in this case, yeah, simply if you are selling cheaper than Whole Foods, you are doing it wrong, and you will not be in business in 3 to 5 years. You will be put out of business because you're competing on price if you're doing that. If no matter what your intent is, if you are selling cheaper than Whole Foods, all you're doing is giving the person that you're trying to sell to, price is the only thing that you're giving them, the only reason, the only thing that you're giving them to think about to make the buying decision, right? You need to give them more than just price to make a decision to buy your product or someone else's. And that's where I guess we come full circle to the education-based marketing. Certainly educate, but educating your customers and your prospective customers is a lot of work. So rather than creating your own content, creating your own videos, there is a place for that, but you have to be at a certain kind of level in business or a certain point anyways. You really need to be able to spend the amount of time and the attention and to create quality content that actually provides valuable education that your customers benefit from. You have to have a lot in your business already locked down, optimized, and systematized. You have to have processes put in place and people in place to do a lot of the day-to-day work. Once you have that, then yes, you can dedicate yourself to creating content, to creating new valuable media that educates your customers. Certainly education-based marketing is a phenomenal, that was one of kind of our core pillars, I guess you'd say. It's one of the things that we did best was educate our prospective customers. And the reason why you want to do that is because one of the main reasons why a customer will stay with you for a long time or throughout, let me increase the light, it's getting dark, might have to turn some lights on soon. But one of the reasons why after they buy from you once, they'll stay with you for a long time is because you help them tell their own story. And what that means is the reason why they made the first purchase has nothing to do with what you were selling and everything to do with the benefits they perceived you offered, okay? So you need to know what business. First of all, you need to know what business you're in, okay? A great example, it's an oldie. It goes back a long time, but a really wonderful example to articulate this point is the railroads. So the railroad industry back at the turn of the century, they had built these massive, like these behemoth companies, right? Railroads were huge. They were massively profitable. But then over time, they slowly kind of went downhill, and the profits disappeared, and even the revenue disappeared. And most of the railroads went out of business. They went bankrupt. And the reason why that happened is because they forgot what business they were in. The railroads, and there's some amazing like Harvard Business School case studies that were done on this topic. You can go look them up on their website. But what the lesson that we can learn from the railroad industry, because it was this huge industry that really controlled everything. It controlled the flow of goods for decades. And the owners and the executives, they became massively wealthy, right? They became the industrial titans of their age. But they ultimately went out of business and went bankrupt. The companies, not the individuals, the companies, I guess a lot of the individuals as well. And the reason why that happened is because they didn't know what business they were in. They thought they were in the railroad business. They were in the business of building tracks, of connecting cities, of connecting, new lines, of laying track and moving from, going from point A to point B, right? And expanding kind of the geographic range that their track was laid on. But that's not what their customers, that's not what they were buying. Their customers, right, the companies who manufactured the goods that needed to distribute those goods throughout the country, they weren't buying what the railroad was selling. The railroads were competing, saying, well, this is our business, this is what we do. We lay track, we have the most lines, we have the most stops. And their customers were like, that's not what we want to buy. What we want to buy is transporting our goods from point A to point B. Okay? And because the railroads did not know what business they were in, they failed, ultimately. And so it's just as important that you as producers, that you know what business you're in, right? And that once you know what business you're in, you actually sell what the customer wants to buy. And it's not beef. You're not in the beef business, okay? Nobody wants to buy beef. They want to buy the benefit of that beef. They want to buy the association that they have between eating your beef versus eating someone else's beef versus eating chicken versus eating no protein. So it's the benefit that they're buying, right? What they're buying is let's take, for example, our family, right? When we buy food, my wife and I, we're not buying food, we're not even buying Sunday dinner, we're buying peace of mind, right? And that's why we will pay more for the highest quality and the healthiest food to feed our children. It's because that is how we buy peace of mind, right? So let me turn this down. We're buying peace of mind. And because we're buying peace of mind, price isn't the issue. Price isn't what we buy based on, okay? And I mean, we're not unique here, all right? Millions of people do not buy based on price. The people that you want to sell to will not buy based on price. They're buying a benefit that they hold as a core value. It's something that they care about, that they value above other things, right? So even people who don't have a lot of money will buy not based on price. They will buy the benefit. They will buy the value. Instead of going out to the movies and maybe dinner and a movie and spending that $50 there, they will put it into their food because they rather buy the peace of mind knowing that they're giving their children the best chance at having a long, healthy life than they would the entertainment value of that movie and a dinner. And if it's not peace of mind, I mean, there's all types of reasons why people buy. There are many benefits. And your job is to figure out and learn and actually ask them, right, and learn what the benefits are, the benefit is that they want to buy, okay? And that could be, maybe the benefit is they're an athlete, right? Or they consider themselves, they're a 45-year-old office worker, but they are competing in road races, right? They run 5Ks or marathons or downhill mountain biking or CrossFit, powerlifting, like whatever, right? But they have a hobby that it's a big part of their life that they care a lot about, and they're trying to perform at their highest ability, or maybe just live their healthiest lifestyle. Maybe it's just like a 65-year-old grandmother who goes and walks at the high school track with some friends early in the morning, but she's trying to optimize her life for health, right? She wants to have the healthiest life. And so that's what she's buying. That's why she'd be willing to pay you $12 or $13 or $15 a pound for your ground beef. It's because that's what she values and that's what she's buying. She's not buying your price and she's not buying your beef, okay? So know what business you're in and know what you're selling. And the business that you're in and what you are selling should be what the customer wants to buy. It's the benefit that they want to buy. So just that little reframe. And so when you're educating, right, in your marketing efforts and you're providing this education, you have to know, if you know what they're buying, the benefit is that they want, then you can create content, you can create a message, you can create emails, you can create Instagram posts that address the benefits that they want, that they are after, that they desire from you. And once you show them that you actually, not only do you know what benefit that they want, but that you care about it and that you know about it and you know how to communicate the value of what you're offering and how it can give them that benefit, man, they're going to see that and go, kindred spirit. Like they're going to go, they get me. They understand. This is the company for me, and they'll never go anywhere else. No matter, there might be someone down the street or someone across the country who has 30 people on their team who creates amazing content, amazing videos, like weekly cooking videos, all kinds of they have written books on this stuff that communicates the same benefit and value to your people. But if you've already established a relationship with them, they will not leave you. They will not leave you as long as you communicate the value to them that they are buying, that they want to buy from you, okay? Okay, that was a really long answer. 20 minutes, I'm sorry. There's no way we're going to get through 25 or 30, or we might not get through more than 5. Okay, I'll try to go rapid fire, and then let me know in the comments or send me a direct message on Instagram or at my email, cam, at grassfedmarketing.org. If there are any that I don't get to, or if there are questions that you'd like me to create a separate video on and to really elaborate on.